So when I did bioenergetics, it was about being able to tap into feeling, but letting feeling be feeling. If you let feeling be feeling, then it has no meaning. The minute we start to attach meaning to a feeling, that's when we get lost down rabbit holes and we can be really easily manipulated by them. And so I had a really good teacher in bioenergetics. He was a great therapist. His name was Dr. Robert Glazier. He was a student of Alexander Lowen. You know, the bioenergetic stuff is powerful. I use it every day, but not in the same cathartic way. The bioenergetic catharsis was very powerful medicine. And if it's not used properly, if it's not done in the right hands, put in the right hands, it can mess you up. But I'm very experienced in it. And I did a lot of crying. I did a lot of shouting. I did a lot of emotional expression. But one of the things that Dr. Glazier said was just let the emotion pass and be done with it. I don't know about this female psychologist, but a lot of psychologists, they want to then attach meaning to it. They want to say, oh, well, you were crying. Well, was it because of something your mother did? And then it starts to become this whole blame game. And it's like, oh, your dad spanked you when you were 3 years old. And then you start thinking, oh man, my dad, like, man, all these years I've been carrying around this repressed crying because my dad spanked me. And then you start thinking like your dad like traumatized you and it's his fault. You could get lost down some slippery slopes of rabbit holes that don't serve you at all. And so Dr. Glazier warned against that. You go to a bioenergetic analyst and they talk more than breathe, then you're in the wrong place. He says it needs to be it's basically just exercising. Alexander Lowen was a psychiatrist, but he moved basically to the other end of the spectrum in terms of what the usefulness of it was. And so there is character structure. And there are psychological predispositions that structure themselves into the body. It's so evident. You don't have to be a scientist to see it. It's so obvious. Just watch movies. There's a certain archetype. You look at it, you know, the funny fat guy. Like that's an archetype. He's self-deprecating funny fat guy. That's a masochist. You know, the skinny geeky guy who's all up in his head and he's got all the answers and he's on the computer. That's your schizoid. It's very, very evident. You see it in his body. Psychopath, right, is usually the tough guy with the big energy, and he's like picking fights or, you know, leading the pack, right, like in charge. And the oral is always the lover, the pretty one, you know, the good-looking guy, the guy who's all the girls like, right? Wherever he goes, he's making friends with all the ladies, and like he's very friendly. Like I was thinking about, like, I don't know why, but the A-Team came to my mind just now. I think I might be dating myself. 18 was a show from the 80s with Mr. T. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. You see these. They're in the movies. They're everywhere. These are archetypes. They're patterns. So you don't have to make too much of it. The bottom line is, based on your physical pattern, you have a way of breathing. And the way that the emotions get structured into these particular patterns of breathing can be mobilized with catharsis, breathing, right? So for example, someone whose oral is very hollow in their chest, this area, they're very hollow here. So they need more in-breath. So if you do a lot of work with them, it's a lot of, like they got to open the breath because they're almost on a perpetual exhale. Me, I'm the opposite. I'm puffed up. And so I'm already as inhaled as you can be. So I need more out breath. So, you know, anyway, I'm kind of going on a rant here. Your question's about releasing emotions. No, it's only effeminate when you attach something to it and then start taking action based on it, because now you're trusting your feelings like they're real. Even if they're structured based on past traumas, that is not real now. It's affecting you because it hasn't been released, but it's not real. And whatever happened to you, 20 years ago has nothing to do with your reality today. You want to get it out and then be done with it. I had a lot of anger. That's just what I expressed, right? When I would get breathing. Ah! That's just me. It's just my nature. I don't know what it is. I don't know if something happened to me that made me angry or it's just what it is. And so the therapy was just get all that shouting out and then walk away. Oh, that feels better. But if you go there and they're like trying to, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but if they try to make sense of it, that's a slippery slope I'd be careful of. Hope that helps, dude. Done.